Australians are facing a double blow when it comes to olive oil: availability and price. Firstly, a heatwave and drought in Europe, a major source of olive oil, has limited supplies. And secondly, the Australian season hasn't been great, so prices have skyrocketed. 5 years ago, you could buy a 750 millilitre bottle of extra virgin olive oil for around $10. Lately, it could cost anywhere up to $25.
Spain produces half the world's olive oil, so they've had a big supply issue. And thirdly, in Australia, because we've had wet summers, olives absolutely love a dry summer. The wet summers have been bad for us, so we've had a couple of bad seasons, including this season here, which is an off season anyway, because olives have an on year and an off year. But it's been tough, so there's a shortage of supply, and if you go to the supermarket shelf, you'll see lots of empty shelves.
But our love affair with the golden liquid hasn't faltered. Australia's extra virgin olive oil industry has evolved and developed in the past 2 decades. Leandro Rossetti is the CEO of Cobram Estate, and he reckons consumption of olive oil in Australia has more than doubled.
Largely on the back of domestic production that now supplies approximately 50% of the consumption. Another interesting fact about Australian consumption, it has the largest consumption of olive oil per capita outside the Mediterranean. So if you move away from the traditional countries like Spain, Italy, Greece, well, Australia is the largest consumer per capita with a bit over 2 litres per capita, but still a long way to go before you reach the 8 to 10 and plus litres per capita per year that they have in Spain, Italy or Greece. And if we follow the medical advice of having 2-3 tablespoons a day, that actually translates into about 8 litres per capita.
Cobram Estate is Australia's largest producer of extra virgin olive oil. According to the company, it makes up 70% of all extra virgin olive oil grown and produced in the local market, with their products easy to find on the big 3 supermarket shelves. The company recently opened a new integrated site in the northwest Victorian town of Bort. Chair and co-founder Rob McGavin says their investment is a big one.
Yeah, it's huge. We've got 2.5 million trees. It costs around $40 million per year in operating costs to run our groves, and we've just done a $35 million expansion to our groves. There's something like $700 million we've invested in developing this Australian industry.
The $35 million facility is designed to process 100,000 tonnes per harvest when at full capacity. More on that later. With all this investment being put into Cobram, will it mean cheaper olive oil in Australia? Unfortunately, it's not that simple. Olive oil is, not surprisingly, a major international commodity, meaning its price and availability are influenced by global factors. Over 3.37 million metric tonnes are consumed around the world each year. But here's the good oil. The experts say the price will come down, and next season is set to be a bumper crop.
The average quality extra virgin in Spain has gone from €3 to €9 per kilo in the last 18 months, and that'll definitely reduce. It's a bit like when there's a cyclone, bananas go through the roof. When there's a real supply crunch, the price goes up because otherwise you just run out of it and no one's got any.
Ruth Sutherland is the head of horticulture for Cobram. The oldest trees here were planted in the year 2000, but there is a new crop too. Geez, that harvester moves quickly, doesn't it?
It does. We've had so much redevelopment in the last 8 years that it was been worth getting a machine that just for these young trees.
So how old are these trees?
These were planted in 2021.
Okay.
So this is their second harvest.
Yep.
And this machine is great for this size tree, but the trees quickly outgrow it. Nevertheless, it does a great job.
Yeah, and it really, I mean, you've got all the leaves still on it, and it really strips those olives, although I've noticed one here.
Yeah, we better put that in the bin.
Oh, really? That's what happens there? So does someone then come through and pick the olives? No. Give it another shake?
Yeah, no. That's it. That tree's picked. It's beautiful. Yep. It's beautiful. And
how long until these trees, because they are quite young, start producing olives?
We picked them for the first time last year when they were 2 years in the ground.
Yep.
So it's only about 1 kilo a tree, but it's really worth getting the fruit off. It pays for itself for the harvesting, but also gives the tree a little bit of a rest because it's hard work growing all that fruit.
Yep.
And it means that we get a very consistent paddock, which is also really important for the lifetime of these trees.
The scale of the operation at Cobram's Bort facility is huge. 300 staff work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for up to 10 weeks, harvesting 1.24 million trees. But the machines do a lot of the heavy lifting. You've a load of different harvesters. Tell me about automation.
We have put a huge amount of time and effort and money into developing harvesting technology for mature trees, and we're still working on that. It's probably the thing that we can do better. And although it's working, we're putting a lot of time and effort into trying to get more fruit off the tree and move quicker so we can have less. We've got 22 harvesters that are over $1 million each to buy. 2 machines needs 3 tractors and 3 bins with people in. So to get every olive crushed within 4 hours is a huge undertaking, and that's all to drive the freshness of the extra virgin olive oil and the value proposition.
About 3 hours east of the Cobram facility, and without the budget for $1 million harvester, relative newcomers, Goldie, are trying to capture a different market with a different business model. I better get out of the way. Goldie is one of nearly 400 olive oil producers in Australia. The majority of those come from Victoria, but Western Australia and South Australia also do some heavy lifting. And there are now small operations in New South Wales and Queensland. So, 35% of all extra virgin olive oil sold in Australia, local or imported, is from these smaller producers. Co-founders Janine and Owen worked for their parents' olive oil wholesale business, from which Goldie grew. During the COVID pandemic, when fewer chefs were buying in bulk, the siblings created a boutique extra olive oil brand, selling directly to customers.
We've spent the last few years developing and learning a lot about not only the farming side, which we knew a bit about, but also like the marketing and the operations side of running that kind of business. So we started basically selling at markets and a little bit online. And then we only really fully launched about a year ago, and we've seen rapid take-up and growth.
Now sold as a subscription, and with just over 15,000 followers on Instagram, the small brand is happy with their current business model. What are your goals for Goldie?
We'd like to continue to grow it. I think it's really important that we do have that continual direct-to-consumer relationship. And it's something that we really value, is being able to see and talk to and hear feedback from the customers.
Goldie owners say the growth of the Australian industry is important, and so's the help they've had from the larger players, which has been invaluable.
It's a very nice industry to be in. Everyone's very friendly. We've had help from a lot of other growers, and I think everyone sees the industry as the more we can promote great Australian oil, it's going to be better for everyone. So it's an extremely nice industry to be in and very, very cooperative.
This sentiment is backed by Rob McGavin, who says Cobram welcomes any efforts in educating Australian consumers about the value of good olive oil. Rob, how do smaller Australian producers fare?
Look, they're an absolutely critical part of our industry. Every day they're working hard. A lot of them have cellar doors at farmers markets telling people about extra virgin olive oil, and they really care about quality. Unfortunately, a lot of them work very, very hard for very minimal return because it's tough, and it's very expensive to produce high quality extra virgin. You've seen it here today, and for a smaller producer that amplifies, but we wouldn't have an industry in Australia if it wasn't for everyone.
Production is complicated because groves only produce a full harvest every second year.
Olives are an evergreen tree, and they're They fruit on 1-year-old wood. So if my arm was the branch and this is where the fruit is this year, this is the leaf that's grown this year. Next year, this is where the fruit is. So if there's a lot of fruit here, there's less leaf that grows, so we don't have quite the same capacity for harvest. But if there's not too much fruit here, you get a lot more growth. So every second year, there's a bit more growth if there's less fruit. And then the following year, more fruit, slightly less growth.
What kind of oil is this?
This is Poratina, so it's very robust and it'll give you quite a kick.
Is that right? So don't scull it?
Don't scull it.
It's not a shot?
No. That's the juice of fresh olive.
It's warm.
Yeah. Straight out of the grove. Straight out of the sunshine.
I just got the kick then.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
That's the antioxidant. That means it's alive. That's all the good things.
I feel alive too now. Testing their oil for quality has been a focus for Cobram. Leandro says tests proving freshness had been lacking from the industry as a whole, and it's something they want to see more of.
When it comes down to extra virgin olive oil, because it's a fresh juice of the olive, the fresher the oil, the better the quality, but the better that it tastes and the healthier that it is for you. So we adopted some technology that was developed initially in Germany, and we adapted it, and then we included it into the Australian standard for quality. And since then, there was a bit of a groundbreaking technology or quality in terms of the control of extra virgin olive oil that then got adopted by other countries like California or states like California, for example. But certainly it all started here in Australia.
To back up the importance of the health benefits of olive oil consumption, a new Harvard study with just over 92,000 participants observed for 28 years found in the United States, adults with higher olive oil intake had a lower risk of dementia-related mortality, irrespective of diet quality. The findings extend the current dietary recommendations of choosing olive oil for cognitive-related health, as well as improved heart health and disease prevention, something Leandro was keen to espouse.
So we should probably consume 4 times more olive oil than what we currently do to get all the health benefits that comes with extra virgin olive oil.
And that's not just a sales pitch.
No, it is truly on the back of science. I mean, there's when it comes down to scientifically proven good evidence around food, no other food comes even close to extra virgin olive oil when it comes down to the prevention and management of chronic disease, particularly heart disease, mental disorders, and diabetes, for example, and to get all the benefits that come with the micronutrients that are present in extra virgin olive oil. Usually the recommended rate is around 2 to 3 tablespoons. I think that not just with extra virgin olive oil, but with all foods in general, we as consumers have to start making a choice more towards higher value foods as opposed to lower pricing foods.
Isn't it coming from a place of privilege to say you should be paying more for better food, for better health? But a lot of people can't afford that.
So let's say $5 a week in extra virgin olive oil, that's 1 cup of coffee. So it's a bit about the choices that are helping us to have a much more nutritious diet overall.